Good. Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. Yes, this mic is on. Make sure that your mic starts on. Okay.
Test.
Good morning again. Good morning, everybody. Um, Urban Design Peer Review Panel, May 26th, Friday, May 26th. We have 4 projects on the agenda today. First, we need to review and approve the minutes of our last session on April 28th. If I have a motion,
Move approval.
thank you. A vote, everybody.
Second.
Second, yes, second. A vote, everybody in agreement say yes.
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 Very good. Thank you, everybody. Approve minutes.
We just finished, y'all. Thank y'all for that.
So with that, Arturo, could you please get us started with the first project on the agenda?
Yes, good morning, panel. As you know, we have a full agenda today, so we're going to try to keep time on each of these presentations. We've got 4 this morning, and I know we're losing 1 member here at 10 a.m., so hopefully we can get through those first 2 at that time. I'll keep track of time and look at your eco to see if we need to speed the process up a little bit. We're targeting 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 50 minutes, and 40 minutes based on the complexity of each of those projects. So that will get us, or less, that would get us out of here by 11:30 or so. In any case, let's begin with the first project. I'll say a couple words about Vista at Kessler. Many of you might remember this project first came to the panel in January of 2022. It's a slightly different project today. Vista at Kessler is a proposed commercial development at the northeast corner of Fort Worth Avenue and Hampton Road in the West Dallas North Cliff area. As noted in the material submitted to you last Friday, this project recently completed a lengthy engagement process and a rezoning process, locking the proposed building locations on the site, adding parking lot permeability requirements, and introducing a requirement for an open space component. This morning, the panel will focus only on the open space requirements and pedestrian walkways throughout the site to enhance usage and impact on the development and surrounding community. And with that, I want to turn it over to Colton and his design team to provide additional details on what's been added to their design as a result of that community engagement effort and zoning change to PD 714. Colton, please step. Yep. Okay.
We have it in front of us.
Okay. No, I appreciate your time. Again, my Colton Wright with Vista Property Company. I don't know, it was virtual last time, so I didn't know the city was spaces. So we may have been maybe remember our project, we may not. But no, as our code said, and I do have our architect, BRR architect is here. Our civil engineer had an emergency, so I don't know if you'd be able to dial in or not, but I should be able to answer. Your architect would like to come over. I think I'm fine doing this, and then we'll ask. So, again, like I said, we came in January of 2022. Early out with the project, we did talk a lot about this the grade concern from the project, how to deal with the grocery store, with parking lots and the trucks in and out, and slopes with shopping carts, and then a lot of nuances in the project. And based on that, we spent a little over a year, obviously taking your comments into account with physical addition to the property, going to City Plan Commission, working with Councilman West. We had, I can't even tell you how many neighborhood meetings within the different neighborhoods. The Fourth Avenue Development Group, meeting the city, working with the departments on, we really have to make this project successful and do everyone West had a almost 2,000 response survey to the neighborhood. It was overwhelming support of having Sprout here. And so what we have here is the result of about a year of work within with our design team in the neighborhood, and hopefully give the neighborhood and the city what they want. So here is our site plan. So you can see it overlaid. There's still the existing LR grocery store and the former movie chain right here. All those buildings will be sprayed. We built 3 new buildings. And the thing that we've worked with in the city was working within PD 714, which this whole area is within that PD And our site plan does some really, everything but the Sprout building itself doesn't meet the requirements. And so what we ended up doing, the city and the neighborhood was we have the 12-foot sidewalks here, along Fourth Avenue. We added, bioswales in the parking lot, permeable pavers, we got rid of one drive-through on lot 3. And, we added a lot more pedestrian paths, throughout the development. Primarily focused on Fourth Avenue, which we think is the main thoroughfare. We've got I-30 to the north, really not a lot of pedestrian traffic up here. And so they're really focused on trying to make, Fourth Avenue the focus of the project. So, down here, you can see, we really were trying to make the visuals of the Sprouts from Fourth Avenue and focus. We worked with Sprouts, which is not their prototype. Fourth Avenue with a lot of something as well. You see, I've got a lot of 3D renderings here. You can see how we pop this out. There is some murals on the south side of the building that really tie into this. So the focus on the pedestrian path is going to be off the 12-foot sidewalk. Can't see the grades here, but the package. We have a 4 or 5 wall along this space right here with some restaurant patios here. Some landscaping is code. And then what we did was we met with County West. We really were focused on the Sylvan 30 project, kind of everything. Picture, but this is a similar concept to what we're going for, and that's really what we're looking for. Was a green space overlooking the stairs. Obviously, our plan is to have look at situated the three. You find ways to have art or landscaping incorporated into the retaining wall. Maybe talk about painting here on the stairs, and then green space is going to be areas that people can congregate. Everything's still being designed right now, so this is the main pedestrian path here. It's still kind of up in the air. It's going to be pavered, you can put granite, some kind of concrete, and so that is what we need. It's going to look similar. So I don't want to reiterate everything we talked about last. That's really so. This site plan here, the one is attached to ED 714, subject to 3. So that site plan.
Your name?
Holton, right?
Cool. So it's something that I do every time. But I have to do Golden is a panel made up of volunteers. We are architects, building designers, planners, landscape architects, historic preservation specialists, engineers. So we have an amazing group of amazing talent here. And we are here to help your project be as good as it can be. And we work on behalf of the city. So it's really, it's a win-win for everybody. For you and your plan, but also what work is for you. So whatever you're going to hear from us, the intent is to make it better for everybody. Okay. With that, I ask the panel now to first, if we have questions for you, and second, Walker feedback. Okay. So we start with
I have a question about the green space. In this drawing, it shows up as parking as well as in the.
Yes, and that drawing really more into the English, which that was an earlier iteration, right before.
Oh.
And again, this is the plan that.
And for that green space, you mentioned that it's intended to be maybe more of a soft-scape, maybe gravel or decomposed granite. It's not intended to be planted.
No, I mean, again, the landscape plan, we're going to, this is all grass. It's gonna be a combination. Hardscape, grass. This will be landscape around it, and then part of the key we have this sidewalk area here has to be covered, and so on the trellises, certain trees, that's all. But I mean, similar to this. Think about, near the retaining wall, near the retaining wall, it's gonna be a covered grass. Pavers and a bioswale, so it's gonna kind of near that. The shared drawing, so.
Yeah, with the extent, I was gonna ask that too.
Yeah, not all of it, but it's gonna be built. Similar to this one. But this is not our project.
Yeah. And so I know it's in design, but the section shows about a 66-inch rise right there where that walkway hits the street. That's going to equate to about a 70-foot long accessible ramp, which is pretty good size site feature. Do we just not know how we're doing that yet, or have I got
Our
that?
engineer, man, our consultant, is designing that, like that.
Okay.
It's gonna be built, this whole area of the wall.
Yeah.
It's still,
71 feet minimum, I believe, is what we're going to be here. That's why I'm curious how that would work. That's going to be a really big feature right there. Okay.
All right. Yes, exactly, Michael. Michael is online. I'm sorry, Michael, any questions?
Hey, good morning. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, great. Sorry I couldn't be there, but I appreciate you coming in to present this again. Just a quick question about the parking lot design. Is this going to be designed to City of Dallas ISWIM requirements, the bioswales, et cetera?
yeah, everything's gotta be built.
Excellent. Thank you.
Our engineers are working with you.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Like,
I have less of the, I'm sorry, I wasn't here when this was presented the first time. Is there a way to give just a 30-second summary of what the changes are from last time?
Yeah, so I mean, the overall plan, the building orientation is similar.
Okay.
This building was put back on further, we had a drive-through, with a 3-foot sidewalk, either side, but we tried 6-foot sidewalk, so we back 12-foot sidewalk. We added pavers, swales, so a lot of time working with slabs on elevations. Really go to the neighborhoods and meet with them. I don't know before and after, but it's a lot of depth and elevation. This drive through here, a big component, there's a business requirement, a patio requirement here, this block facing away from the neighborhoods. And then this.
Thank you.
I think you're I will, they will be able to see that. Yeah, we will be. From a sales perspective, I see it with in favor. Although in the not be able to think about it, especially because they got properties, is going to fill up and then in the long run, it's very. You take it over the house, right? and confirm to be the middle of the. My second comment is something that I heard in the north end, but they see stabbing in the I know who they need to. My recommendation would be, this walking with the record, I did see a lot of, walking and coming back. They have been disturbed speed. I thought we had mentioned a lot of, these drivers that can walk. We thought that I wanted to make it a further than pretty like 45 around the. So the people who come across, it was impossible to bring them out and give them also just that more peace. Extra light sidewalk and make it safer. That maybe everybody is very much. And then you can't right now, it is, this half level is the strength of 4 feet right here. It's down a little bit. Okay, yeah. And actually, this is the lead to the coming out. And they will do it. All the difference is going to be some kind of either of it. I think that like possibly have river that focus on the north sidewalk. But you know, just something to think with that.
Yeah, I was gonna make comment about, Faisal is right and brought up a good point about the neighborhood to the west. It seems really clear to me, however, that you can't get there from here. It's, as he mentioned, and it doesn't reflect here clearly, but on the topo, there's quite a drop up at that corner. So even if, and we're not addressing it here at all, so the only place for people from that west neighborhood to get here are either down at this intersection, which is really where the 7-Eleven is, or up here at that northwest corner. Actually, that drops off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 8 feet in that green area at the northwest corner. So now we're looking at 150-foot ramp to access that. So they have to come down the sidewalk and back in. So I don't guess there's anything you can really do with that. It's just the luck of the topo. That's like, yeah. They're gonna.
And then their main concern will be
Oh, okay. You'll be good there because they're going to be lower in respect than they would normally, and the light overflow is going to be a lot less. Yeah, those folks are going to be driving. I think it's pretty clear, and at least during my lifetime. So otherwise, yeah, I do remember the project. I do remember the issues that we had at the time, and it's another one of those where the grade is a lot more important than we can tell from a normal, just 30,000 foot view. There's a lot of topo on this lot. I think we even had discussions about runaway carts last time, and that's not what we're here for today. So it's a tricky site, and I appreciate what you've done, and I like it. I think you've made big improvements, and I do think it's right to focus on Fort Worth Avenue. And, the transition of Fort Worth, the first glance to me was, well, we're in the suburbs. No, not really. It's got a better transition on the street. So, no, I'm good with that. Appreciate it. Good job.
My only comment is that I live not far from this neighborhood, about 10 years ago, and I think all eyes are going to be on this project because it's the first grocery store to come in to the area that of any significance, any real significance. So I think I certainly appreciate that you're really taking the time to think this through and get it right because it's going to make a big impact on the area. So it looks nice to me, and I'm pleased to see it.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and it's really kind of, there will be benches. Because we haven't finalized. This will be, try to find a way to finalize to make it more. But there will be tree line and obviously have to be fine.
But yeah, they indicated as a public space for the BD.
Yeah, it's required. But yeah, probably. I mean, neighbors, trying to keep them limited within the park mile, 5 miles. Yeah, that's part of the design. Again, so, the example. They will, I mean, we have put them on fire. A while ago.
Okay. No, anybody else? Any other?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm still gonna hang up on this a little bit here, because I don't really, I see this image over here, I don't know don't go to Sylvan very much, so I don't know how it operates. I don't really know what the vision is for that thing. I know that that's dormant grass, not paving or anything, or I think it is. And there aren't any trees in the middle of it. How do we anticipate that space is going to be used? Because I see that I don't want to put a bench out in the middle of that. I do want trees and things, but we don't have the benefit of any of that. And if it looks like that, I'm afraid that, what's it going to be used for? I'm afraid the street's going to be full of soccer balls. Because you're up here, they're going to be there, off they go. And so I don't know. What do you think is going to happen?
So, I mean, the intent and the neighbor, something or less, they would have, how do you hear, come out on the gate? I don't know if I talk or not, but it's gonna be, I think.
There's trees, there's not, but if they, yeah.
Well, I think the trees are around it.
Okay.
I think in that area, I think organically it's gonna be fine.
Right.
But it's going to be whatever they.
Okay. You're not planning on installing any playground equipment then, like the regular work? Okay.
I have a 9-year-old and I have to say that these kinds of situations are ideal because you can sit under the patio and send your kids out into the green space
Okay.
and they play and there are balls a lot. So that is something to keep in mind, but it's a pretty useful thing and they're fairly populated. So I feel from experience like this is probably on the right track, but to the point that it should have features beyond just grass, trees, things to make it.
I thought, even that's why I asked to get on stage about this space, I think maybe that. And it's kind of upset my progress.
Yeah.
As long as it gets energized, if it gets tied to that. The only water came to my mind, we can only.
Yeah.
Public project.
Well, I mean, they don't say public there. We own it, and it's not being dedicated.
You know, like, should be about.
It is required.
Lots of things and thousands of that time.
The restaurant, lease space, with the common area.
So can you lease it for outdoor space to the restaurant?
We lease it.
In
The
terms,
restaurant will have really.
okay. Okay.
All right, Colton, you heard what a good thing. I want to reinforce what my colleague Jesse Marshall comment that she made. I am with her. This also bothers me. This is all about enhancing the pedestrian experience along Fort Worth. Well, first of all, great that you are doing it. Thank you for investing in the neighborhood. All good, we are on board. Yes. Now, on the with the goal of making it, as I said earlier, as good as it can be. How about this connection here? I understand, we understand that the plan has been approved unanimously by City Council. That's great. However, if it is all about the pedestrian experience along Fort Worth Avenue, this seems, and again, I understand that it's still under design, but it seems a little thin, a little, let's be blunt, a little weak. Now, it's all about cars. Right? It's a big driveway here, and there is a token gesture there of a sidewalk that will take folks from here to there, but people may not even realize that they can actually walk this way because they can't see the door, they can't see the front entrance. If I'm here, I'm looking at the side of the building. If I'm driving, sure, I can see where I'm going, but not if I'm walking. So, would it be possible at all? Would it to move this over by say 20 feet or 30 feet, and align, take that point there, and align with this curve here, so that the walkway from Fort Worth would line up with the yellow walkway here in front of the grocery store. And in doing so, now I want to piggyback on Norman's comment. We know that there's a big grade difference here Would it be, instead of having steps, because that's going to be, of course, an ADA issue, what if we have a gentle ramp going all the way from here to there on the side of the green space? The green space is flat, just like the one that you showed your precedent overview. But on the side of it, hugging that green space is a ramp, 70, 80 foot long, however long it has to be, that takes you gently from sidewalk to front door. And yes, with the crosswalk here clearly outlined, identified, so that the pedestrian experience, again, four from the sidewalk all the way to the front door is clearly defined, welcoming. It's not I wouldn't have 5 cars and Dodge cars and weave in and out. Would it be possible?
Well, I know when we talked about not in the local, we have. So, I think you can walk with that. Staircase. On the way that some of the art mural on there that walk into this that thing back here. Yeah, we can look at it, right, in terms of the art.
Exactly. That my point exactly. So if we give a bit more prominence, a bit more character to the pedestrian, maybe we would have a better balance. Of course, most people, 95% will arrive by car, understand. But for the folks who happen to walk to the grocery store, well, how do you get there?
Can I ask a question, please?
And then the
Mr.
key
Chair?
is required covered walkway.
Yes. Yeah.
Covered kind of a.
So what you're suggesting, Mr. Chairman, is that the wall that here turns and come back on the inside of that, so that ramp slowly goes up along?
But so you're good.
Yeah, so you don't have the parking in there. Now, are you
No.
getting rid of the
I
parking?
am being sneaky here, and I'm deleting 6 parking spaces.
Okay.
What?
Thank you, but no. To be fair, if we remove these parking spaces here, we'll gain 3. We will be removing 7, and we gain back 3 or 4 over here because these will stretch out. We delete these, but so how are we doing in terms of parking spaces? Are we on the mark? Are we over parked?
I mean, we're my part is on the restaurant, my under part, and then we have even Sprouts. We are on the road at water parking. We're both on this building. But really about the
Is that something that the city would be willing to work with the developer and reconsider the minimum amount of parking per code?
With the zoning in place, unless they're already above the required, and there is wiggle room in that regard. He'd have to talk it through his tenants. Otherwise, yeah, I don't think we could lower the parking requirement that's in place.
and again,
Okay, all right. So once again, you heard us all. Yes, we have comments, general comments about the overall plan, but the focus is right here. As you yourself highlighted, this is the change that you bring us from last time. Pedestrian engagement is the focal point here. So if we would be very interested in seeing how you solve the issue of connectivity, pedestrian connectivity with the control of this number. Mhm.
So you have to say, not really doing it.
Yes.
That's also.
Yes. That's
We talked about it, let's try to straighten it out.
Yeah.
So obviously, I think it's very important. I think that's we get there, we'll go up. We not only the green space, we move this back right there.
Mhm.
I don't think we can really push the ground too much,
Mhm.
but we have a mention to that comes.
Mhm.
But if you do that back, you get substantially straighter. What's gonna happen is your side space is here, right?
Mhm.
If you use that, or even the put up at least two right here.
Mhm.
You can buy them this house. You can pick up the space.
Right.
So now we're down to house spaces. You can pick up all the spaces right there.
That's
And all the down to three spaces. And what I want them to do is give us three extra points here, plus the fourth one, because I share with your neighbor. It really is not something you want. So you can consider a lot of these houses. You close it, you can pick up some spaces there, and then you got single local parking area, but you're not very effective.
Yes.
If you rearrange something, you may be able to pick up 4, 5, 6 parallel parking spaces
Yes.
by rearranging. And then you have to gain some spaces, make this one straighter, like.
Great. Guys are brilliant. So now you have more spaces than you asked for, and you give us the straight connector sidewalk, okay?
And you know, get rid of that because of that.
All right, but you can still pick up a few other spaces as Faisal indicated. So please think about that. Otherwise-
Here, you can close that and give them access to their driveway. They still have access. So you can pick up maybe 3, 4 more spaces.
Right there, that's right. You can keep the access, but you don't need the turn lane.
So you'll keep all your spaces.
Makes sense? Yes, Michael, I'm sorry, you are online. Michael, any comments? I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. My comment is going to be related more towards the Dallas bike plan. And my understanding is Fort Worth Avenue, there are going to be bike improvements along Fort Worth Avenue. And I think in this neighborhood, there's a real opportunity to focus on the neighbors who are going to visit the grocery store and the out parcel sites on bike. I think what's shown in the yellow areas, the little four lines inside the white boxes, I'm assuming those are bike parking stalls. I recently visited Atlanta Beltline, and there's actually a grocery store that fronts to a hike and bike trail, and they have some really nice, almost parklet type areas for bikes to park with some outdoor seating for the grocery store and the coffee shop. So I'm curious if any thought has been given to that. I know we've been talking a lot about the pedestrian experience, but I'd like to see perhaps a little more focus on the experience for bikers.
Yeah, those are racks that are, I know, I think it's code. Rock development, and yeah, as far as I know, City of Dallas, Avenue is going to be like. And they also got the Florida patio area that's, for that.
Thank you. I guess I'm having a little trouble with the audio from a couple of the panelists towards you, Jesse, and also our speaker. But just to kind of sum up my comment, like to see a little bit more focus on that experience, and also if there are opportunities to provide more shade for the bike parking areas and also along the pedestrian routes.
Oh, sorry. And I mean, yes, all these buildings, and if you see the Strauss elevations, I mean, they do have. And then this building was a map, the architectural of the Strauss building. So there should be some covered areas along those sidewalks where storefronts are to be provided for.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
I think that is time.
All right. So Arturo, would you please summarize the comments
Of
that
course.
we offered?
Okay. Here's a summary, and like I mentioned to you, I'll send these over to you formally next week early. Comment number one, or recommendation number one, the panel advises the pavers in the driveway be eliminated to avoid damage by heavy truck use. I'm sorry, the panel advises that the pavers in the driveway be eliminated without compromising the look and feel of the overall development to avoid damage by heavy truck use. Number two, the panel recommends additional thought be given to the sidewalk condition on Hampton and Remond. I think that thought might be slightly finished. It's by providing additional space for not only the pedestrian, but also from the pedestrian to the moving traffic lanes. Number three, the panel advises that required ADA ramps accessing the site be designed to work well for Fort Worth Avenue and the open space component. Number four, the panel recommends the new open space be designed to be activated by adding the surrounding uses by the surrounding uses and adding places to gather and sit, and could be incorporated into the step and pergola components of the site. Also adding features like lighting, trees will expand the space used throughout the day. The panel advises, and number five, the panel advises the permeable paving used throughout the parking be incorporated along the parking spots directly adjacent to the open space to encourage that they remain open to help the open space feel more welcoming. Recommendation number six, the panel is concerned about the location and prominence of the pedestrian path from Fort Worth Avenue. Could the walkway line up with the grocery store's front area and relocate the ramp from Fort Worth Avenue to run north-south along the open space instead of east-west along Fort Worth Avenue? And consider readjusting the parking layout to replace parking spaces that would be lost otherwise. And lastly, number seven, the panel recommends the development accommodate bike users who will visit the development by providing bike parking facilities and enhancing the experience of those users by also adding shading components to those pathways.
Yes, I think you get it. As far as I can remember. Yeah. Good. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Welcome to the Redbird Urban Design Peer Review Panel. Yeah, we are all Redbird all the time around here.
Yeah, I think we're on the agenda.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Arturo, would you please introduce? the
Of
project
course,
to the panel?
very quickly, because we are keeping on track and schedule, which is great. I appreciate you all. A quick summary for the Redbird project. This next project adds a west wing facade for the core mall building and a new featured outdoor space. The panel has reviewed various projects in the development, most recently for a perimeter Ring Road retail site earlier this year. This latest redevelopment phase locates additional uses and mall entry behind a new facade. The space will be accessed through a new open space designed to pull visitors through, in contrast to the open space on the north side of the mall, designed to gather and linger in. Design considerations for this project include careful layout of pedestrian paths to engage and complement the new open space, together with opportunities to enhance, activate, and allow flexibility in its use. I'll turn it over now to Peter and the design team to walk you through the project.
Thank you, and I think you all know the project pretty well. What's exciting about this one is that there's no new parking. So the word permeable surface, I don't think we'll hear. But we're really excited about this. This is actually the second design process that we've gone through. We went through a design process with a different architecture firm and ended up concluding that it really didn't meet our needs. And so we decided to start from scratch. Really glad that we did. The basic of the site, you've already seen because that demolition was approved a long time ago. And it's just now that we have the tendency where we can invest in the new facade. And so really what you guys were tasked with was taking a very, 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 very long facade and making it not look so monolithic and intimidating. And it was empowering to create a room space outside of it that was so practical and attractive. And then to help utilize the existing parking on the north and the south. And then there's also going to be some parking across the street and on Bum Center. But I'm really, really pleased with how this is going. And you guys take it away and end up here and look pretty.
This is Arturo, and you mentioned the scope of this particular project is the planning top and the window for south as well as the primary goal is to reconsider the experience from that. We have the opportunity to screen space to break with that typical parking lot, exit your car. But in contrast to other working site, we have space. So the combination of coaching, that made that great change. Contrast. Space. Running people down slowly into the site. They all this entry back. Slowly. So in terms of the site, access by vehicle comes from the and then parking more. So capturing all those really slow landscape of the store component separated into two zones. Inside of the mall. At this point, south end of that road, ornamental shade trees, and then later control line. The north side of the turf grass, placeholder for future development. That allows for open area, fitness center, allowing fitness activities, steep slopes. The sections here, you see the ratio of the working outside. Field grass along sidewalk, the bridge, that slowly steps up. Views here show area with open lawn, above the road, trees and stuff. Approaching the building, food production, slowing. Simply underneath the using the form of the building. One other.
And so the locations.
The other thing we've got here is I appreciate you figured out how to create the north parking style. That north parking lot, it's elevated and, so we really have all on the second floor. Enter directly from the north parking lot.
Can you please point out the north? That's right.
So the
Right
fourth
there.
parking lot here.
Yes.
Here,
Yes,
there are a number of facilities.
over there, yeah, on the corner.
So I not see.
Yeah.
Here's the option.
Yes,
They ready to be able to find the spot where the utilities and so that's an important feature of what's fit together. The only thing I'd add is I'm going to keep reference to out there. This site has been designed very much in mind with that in mind. We're really excited about it because we've been trying to get a power fire in there and people who will utilize that every work on the record side. So it's meant to be in a community. That's why it is less important than it normally is. Normally you want to have parking right in front of the child care center so the parents can know their child and get the child in. That's less important here. And that authority that parents dropping off will be working on.
understood. Just to clarify, so over here we have steps that negotiate the grade difference. This is the ramp, the long ramp, am I right?
Right.
Okay.
We do have another access point here, that's more important.
Yeah. Yes, understood. Okay, thank you. All right, does it tell you anything else on your presentation?
No.
Yes, all right. Questions? Anything you've not clear?
I want to confirm, so in the renderings, it looks like your new pathways are just paved concrete. Is that the intention for material or is it not been selected yet?
Hasn't been selected yet.
Okay.
What is the intention?
So, it's going to be depending on our budget will allow. We are hopeful that we can reach some more hand paving areas with the points and many improvement points. Here we do. But we won't.
And-
We're still following.
Sorry. Can you define what enhanced paving might be? Maybe one.
So,
Okay.
the related elements. And also, your house, and your pants.
Well,
Yeah, in the world we find ourselves in, of digital design, I have to ask, how far, where are you under the process? Nowadays, we have to put things in that are actually placeholders, but they look fully thought out. This looks thought out. Is it, or is it just, or is it likely to be much different, particularly?
So we're about halfway through.
Okay.
Okay, we're now at the point where we're vetting, kind of getting hard approval on different elements, but the building massing configuration is
What you see, what you get.
okay.
There's only one element of the building that I'm still, very good. I have an ongoing question about what, right? This is where the law is. I have an ongoing question about whether we're holding the, right? That might change other than that. Right. Any other questions? The first level.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they've already signed the lease, that Shalon is where it is, the
Yes.
size is where it is.
Correct. Correct.
Maybe only like that.
I mean, I think that's fine with the salon. I think it's actually better to have the fitness not by the playground because then the fitness stuff is on.
No, I was just thinking, childcare. Childcare, I think, for the favor.
Oh, no, because the childcare doesn't have the limits. What's that?
The same, hey, the little monkey thing.
All right. Let's move on to feedback. Okay, yes, Maria? No? Michael, you're gonna shoot me. Michael, question.
Thank you. Sure. Yeah. First, I want to commend the presenters on using an active open space at the entry of this versus what we're typically seeing in retail centers with pavement and parking right up to the front entrance. So this looks really nice. My question is, what are your thoughts on how the drainage will be managed? It doesn't look like any of the surrounding surface lots or driveways are going to be draining into it, but potentially roof drainage and whatever falls on top of this area with it being in that depression. So I'd just like to hear what your thoughts are on managing drainage for this area.
We do refer to this area right now as a swimming pool, so we're conscious of that.
So we mentioned the area being providing the house, that is also a project. There are two neighbors with one. Or this zone, one. There are existing a tenant very large. Very far underground. So we're utilizing those, engineering. Calculations, really good enough. What we're seeing there in terms of drainage and also one involved two other accessories. Drain throughout it. We're actually planning to swap out the cover and let put in something more. I'm sorry.
What is the width of these? You know, that little path that runs around,
These,
this one as well as the one that runs right into the building?
so
Is
these
it
are
like, yeah,
typically 6 feet.
6 feet?
And as we get closer to the building, that widens, as it. That's that image.
That's what they shows kind of what.
So, right now, we're not including, by parking. I think one of our things leading out, concerned about somebody using the curvilinear path with the runway, that we get down to different things. So, that's what we.
there will be bike parking.
All right, so feedback. Who would like to start with feedback? Norman,
I'd be happy to.
Please.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming forward with this. It's fun to watch the development of Redbird Mall here at your captive, here, it's all the time. And I love that entry, the green space. I think the fact that it's recessed, that you can deal with the pool feature, it is really, I mean, very helpful here. It's something that gives it interest and, that we don't normally see. Normally, it's just, it's harder to transition into such things. I think all that works really well. I'm going to switch gears though and tell you that I feel like the building is extraordinary. And whereas the park is so human in scale and texture and color and everything, I see the building working completely against all of those features. It's not a foil. Sometimes we do the foil thing, but this is not. I think it is so prominent. It is so large, and the way it's carried out. It took me a long time to figure out. Well, look at the detail of the moving facades on the plan, but I don't see them at all. I thought there was a problem with the previous. One of the reasons I asked the question about the design, but no, I see where it is. It's only at the ground level, and it's hidden. I'll also mention, like there's almost nothing for human scale down there other than brick, and we've tried that. And in this case, the walls are so large, so tall. There's so much flat brick area that I don't feel like it helps with the really good stuff that you're doing down in that green space. And then the other thing that I'll mention is I was noticing that wall faces west southwest. So as the sun sets lower, it will continue to be relentless in reflecting light and heat back into your green space. So I know that kind of, those sort of modern details are common now, but it strikes me that building could use a lot more larger texture, form changes, things that the trees and the landscaping already sort of provide. I don't know that a substantially flat backdrop is the way to go with this book. Kind of fun.
Can I address that? Because you hit on the reason why we have ended up with this one big flat surface is that for structural reasons, notching it, which was one of the original ideas, is prohibitively expensive, and it has to do with the uneven soil pressures on either side of the building, which you end up having to additional structural supports. It's like pulling a thread, and it's ending up costing high six figures to do it. And so these guys, they're charged both to make this facade as visually unintimidating as possible using materials. We just had a fairly robust conversation yesterday about whether this design use that. We were talking about whether we could use different, at least some different colors of brick to break it up. And one of the things that they told me, and then I'll let the architect speak, is we do have some texture, changing textures in the brick that don't really come out great in the rendering.
No, we see them. I mean, they come fabulous here. I mean, it's clear. But because it doesn't come out in the rendering, it's not going to come out to the people walking up to it. And especially since this really high texture you've got right here is mostly in the shade, as it is here. It'll be difficult to read from a distance. So that will help as you approach it. But my concern, I have concerns both from the approach and engaging with that facade up close, as well as how it juxtaposes to the design of the park. I understand your issue. I think there are many ways to address. If you were to share that concern, I can think of many ways to address it. Yeah, texture, small offset, not structural offset, but smaller offsets in the plane, a larger shading area. You don't even have any planting up next to the building here. It just goes, kind of slams into the ground plane, which is a technique a lot of my colleagues use. I could very well be intentional, but I think some of that transition, whether it's, trellis across, at a human scale across the bottom that the climbing roses can get onto or something. I can just think of a lot of things. Yeah, so, and I won't design it, but that's just not.
Good comment.
Yeah, you mentioned that before, like I said, that it's not urban, but knowing with the way that we're accessing the points to say that still break down this, but not shy of accepting. So during the depression, part of that is going about compensating that song is something that we will have. How we really within scale of still accepting that it's an capability challenge.
I want to just piggyback on Norm's comment because it feels, I totally agree. I think the your approach to the green space and the open space in front is really admirable. It's really fun and playful. And then the backdrop of the facade behind you said that you wanted it to not be intimidating, but I find it the complete opposite where it feels like, it feels like someplace that I would not want to engage with. And so I'm glad to hear that you're reconsidering how to accentuate the horizontality if that's the goal. Because I think small detailing, like even just the brick jointing at the change to the two levels to do it and just replacing the brick underneath, it's very beige. So it doesn't feel warm to me in the way that the warmth of the open space is inviting. It's not. And so, yeah, I would encourage you to have more fun with it. Because the tenants inside are light, they're not, than your apartment.
Jesse, 5 minutes.
I love your because it's really clearly going to be an active garden because the kids will feel it whatever happens from the kids and it goes with their parents. And so I think that having that playground component is really key. And I somehow think the reason you brought it to us again and again is because this project is like an example for the rest of the city. And so I'm just going to pose a couple of ideas that might be able to set standards. I think that the idea of this building is partly sustaining the community. It's sustainable in a way that maybe other projects aren't. So one thought is those two low points for the water, the two corners of the green space. It would be really nice if they were actually bioswales, a sustainable way to be cleaning the water before we're dumping it into the water system, and have a bit of actual natural Texas planting and landscaping in amongst those thicker trees down there, so that it's actually kind of set up as a way to show people how bioswales work. And of course, it would be great if all the water that's landing up there were being filtered through that. A second thing I thought in terms of the inhabitable quality of the space, and this kind of does connect with what Norm was saying as well. I thought that that lovely covered ramp that goes in towards the entrance is a great opportunity for a bench. And I just thought, what if it was a bench all the way along that? Underneath, yeah. Another thing that I thought looking at it is this is facing southwest, and yet the sun shading is horizontal, and there's no sun shading over the huge amount of glass on the ground level. So I wondered why, or I just thought there's an opportunity for that same sunshade feature to be duplicated on the lower floor and shade that. And there's also an option for the shading to fold down, get some vertical shading for that lower southwest afternoon sun, which would, I think, help Norm's kind of activation of the facade, but reduce again. It seems like it might fit in with the detail of the roof, change of width or something like that. So one more. Yeah, sure, you don't know if it's fire well.
So, I want to tell you that this is, I love all the work that I had the opportunity to have. Breakfast on the property 3 months back, and I was pleasantly surprised to see the activity that people were ready for the time that I thought they should be happening. It was fun to watch. I'm not an architect, I'm a civil engineer. My very simple feedback is, I just think that these paths needs to be a very big one. 6 feet doesn't seem enough. If you imagine 2 people coming on, and it's a very long ramps, so there are 2 people on now, but kids will be there. Just make it a little bit generous if you can, and it doesn't look like space is a challenge. My second thought was what you mentioned is that we have grade coming down. So wherever we have grade coming down, that we can, especially around the below area, that we can add a continuous wall, like a limestone top along the edge of the path. I think that would look great. That's about it. It looks great. So thank you for all the work you do.
So I agree with everybody at this table that this is a fantastic design. I really enjoy what is being done in the public space, and the fact that we're not, like Peter started this discussion saying we're not adding parking here, which is phenomenal. I do agree that there might be some, I was thinking about the same thing, about some shading on some of that glass, particularly at the ground floor, that might help activate the facade. I think there's some really interesting details about the facade, but it's such a long facade that it's harsh. So for what it's worth.
Michael, comments from you? Michael online.
Thank you. I'll just kind of add to Jesse's comments. Jesse mentioned the potential for bioswales and other features in the low points of the open space area. I'd like for some consideration to be given to the potential for a potential rainwater harvesting vault that could be beneath features like that. It could also potentially collect rooftop drainage and maybe even HVAC condensate that could be used for irrigation of this space. And then add to that the more native plantings that we can integrate into this versus just straight lawn, I think would be a great addition to it. But thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Michael. Anything else on the plan? No?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
One more comment. I don't see it on that plan, but in some of the pictures, I see that really small green space right next to the entrance. So I think of it like a very small island. Who's gonna maintain it, and if it is big enough to be effectively maintained?
So you got that on the second floor.
No, it's a normal picture, and it looks really, really small. I'm wondering,
Yes, yes.
see that one right there? It looks so small, I'm saying, if it's done, it is kind of not. We might as well just get rid of it. That's why. It looks too, especially when outdoor environment. I hate for it to be just.
Homework.
Our our general manager who do it. Thank you.
Yeah. One more fairly quick thing. I've had a lot of fun recently with a saying that it says that if all you've got's a hammer, sooner or later, everything starts to look like a nail. So I guess if you're trained as an architect, eventually you get around to everything looks like it needs architecture to fix it. And I am taken by this view right here. Look at the strength of that axis. And I know that that axis continues in as a pedestrian way into the building behind, right? So strikes me that you've got an architectural element here. I don't know if that's what you're drawing there or not. Are you gonna get to that?
Please.
Okay, well, that's it. I think that my other comments about this are that, man, I wish I knew where the front door was. And I'm gonna pass that over to the chairman, because I think he's going to elaborate on that perhaps more eloquently than I.
No, Norman. What I'm doing here is I'm listening to all the comments and I'm just grabbing. You offered very good feedback, but yes, as you heard Norman, as you heard Jesse, and from Kate, Maria, Jesse, Peter, you started your introduction, introduced the project to us saying that this is a long facade. That's what you said. Well, it still is. It hasn't changed. So if that's a concern, I'm sorry, your name? Ryan. If that's a concern, Ryan, you said, well, we wanted to maintain the horizontality. So maintain the horizontality and address the long facade as a concern, it's contradictory. So either one or the other. Either we accept it or we address it. And here we are in the middle. So I happen to agree with Norman. Now I'm pointing to the site plan here. What used to be is this, right? A building on a sea of parking lot. Now, here in the West, we are starting to change that. There is a notion of a grid. That building there, the residential building with a street right next to it over here, right next to it over here. This is the beginning of a city plan, right? It's the very beginning of a city plan where streets and buildings are aligned, they work with each other, which is exactly the opposite of what we have. So, if that's the case, you have the street, you have the building on the right, very nice. What is the terminus of that? How does that street end? Right now, it ends, as Norman pointed out, it ends on a blank slate. What if we acknowledge that, yes, that's the end of the street, that's the terminus of the street? You know, in the old Beaux-Arts plan, I know we are not going to turn Redbird Mall into Paris, but in the old Beaux-Arts plan, there would be a clock tower, there would be something, chimney, whatever, something, right? What if right there at the end of that street, we have some vertical marker? As Norman said, to indicate if I'm driving, if I turn the corner here, as soon as I'm there, oh yes, that's my destination, that's my door, that's the door to the mall, to the lower level of the mall. I will find a parking space and I will find my way to that door. It's the basic wayfinding. Please consider that. I don't think it would be a dramatic cost, but some suggestion for you. Along the same line of thought. Please.
What do you mean by vertical?
I mean,
Building up or something on the side?
yes and yes.
Okay.
Ryan will know what to do.
And it's something that.
Yeah.
Where we go. We just might have that. We actually.
So please reconsider.
Although I will say that on all of our buildings, entrance, we have our red bird.
Yeah.
We just put it up on the south wing. We had a debate yesterday about whether I was on the towel or facade. But there's going to be a red bird. It's on the south wing, it's visible from the highway. So that will be there.
Like a Pegasus, like a freestanding
Well,
element?
I'd actually bring it out. I think I'd bring it out to the street.
This red bird, I'll find a picture of the south wing.
All right. So just to finish my thoughts here. And by the way, I'm not commenting on the green space, on the landscaping. You heard from my fellow families here. Great job. Yes, let's make those sidewalks 8 feet wide, if we can afford it, it will make a dramatic difference. It will go from, sidewalk will go from domestic to small scale to plaza scale, right? With a couple more feet. So my second comment still relates, Ryan, to the horizontal versus vertical. And I go back to Jesse's comment. Yes, this faces southwest. This facade faces southwest. The horizontal bristle don't work as well. We know that.
Or some.
Really? Okay, all right. So I take your word for it. However, all right, so maybe we incorporate that with the vertical marker, and then you have.
Yes.
And
I think it's freestanding out in the playground the way you get.
Yeah, even freestanding. That would be nice.
Bring it all the way out to where you see it coming down the drive.
Very nice.
And it sort of draws it all
Like the
across.
pictures.
And not very well. Yeah, can
So-
it turn? You have money to turn it?
Great
Stand
idea.
up there manually.
So what do
That's
you?
it. When the vein, when the wind changes.
Let the kids do it. Let the kids do it in the playground. All right.
There's markers on the building walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can, you put those markers. Green space, private.
So that would be, again, as a parent, you see the red bird, okay, that's my destiny. That's a good idea. So second and last and final comment from me. Ryan, you just told me that the horizontal bristle is as efficient as the vertical. However, again, in response to the concern with the ultra horizontal, ultra extra long facade, what if we take no extra cost, Peter? We take the horizontal sunshades and turn them vertically, rotate them 90 degrees. It's the length by eyeballing here, the length that you have horizontally, you can chop it in 3 and apply them vertical pins. That would help, along with the vertical marker that we're talking about. That would help change the perception of this extra long horizontal facade. No change to the structure, Peter, no structural extra expense, along with the texture of brick. If you're driving, that would help. We understand that the facade is a backdrop for the park. The park is the most important. We get it. But still, it seems relentless. Now, speaking as almost said at the moment. So, otherwise, great. It's going to be a good addition to the neighborhood. It will be welcome. Children will love it, and your parents will be happy. You will be happy because your parents will be happy. So, exactly. Good for everybody. Yes, Arturo, could you please summarize? Are we on time?
Yes, we are 3 minutes
Okay,
ahead
3
of schedule. We'll end that schedule after I repeat these. Okay, we've got 8 comments today. We'll run through those. First one, the panel notes the building facades do not complement the outdoor space in its care of its detailing and may be challenged by its orientation to the west-southwest. The panel recommends additional thought be given to exploring ways in which the facade could be enhanced to respond to the open space, its users, and its orientation. Number 2, the panel proposes that 2 low points in the open space be designed as bioswales to aid in capturing water and as an example for other sites throughout the city. In addition, rain harvesting strategies could also be beneficial. Rain strategies and use of native planting could also be beneficial. Number 3, the panel advises additional thought be given to shading options for the facade and contribute to its interest in the activation. And I'll just advance notice these 8 might turn into 7 or 6 because there's some similar thoughts. Comment number 4, the panel recommends the proposed seat wall extend along the length of the ramp as a unique design feature. Number 5, the panel proposes the pedestrian paths be widened to match the proposed high-capacity uses within. Number 6, the panel advises small open spaces be reconsidered to avoid maintenance issues in the future. Number 7, the panel recommends the main access points leading to the new entry begin to provide it's repetitive, I'll fix this, begin to provide the beginnings of a new circulation grid that terminates on the west facade. Could a vertical marker be added to help signal the entry point? A vertical marker design feature. And lastly, the panel advises shading devices be rotated vertically to help change the perception of the horizontal nature of the facade.
Anything else?
Yes. And that is it. And we are
All right.
thir-
Thank you.
30
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you in 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
We did it again.
We did it again, it's all right.
We close our hands too fast.
I love this. Yeah, I'm disappointed it's not gonna be a hotel. They're gonna tell them to be corrected.
Good. C3 is located in the southeastern corner of the design district, directly adjacent to Stemmons Freeway with frontage on Slocum Street. It originally came to the panel in 2018. Many of you, maybe most of you were not here. Okay.
I do, yes.
As a rehab and proposed hotel use. The proposal you'll review today consists of a complete renovation and conversion to affordable residential use. Considerations for the site include pedestrian realm improvements, building activation along both street frontages, and the site's connectivity to the design district and neighboring assets. With that, I want to hand it over to Zach, who will introduce the project and also walk you through the design.
I'm the developer, my architect. But luckily, I went to architecture school, so you're seeing my first presentation since my thesis. So that's exciting. But I actually have been in front of this panel before. I was a developer on a Fort Worth Avenue project, that received TIF funding. So we've layered TIF and affordable housing tax credits before. You guys changed our entire project and made it much, much better, and that one's actually near completion. Great. I'm excited to be back in front of you. Cabana is obviously a very difficult project. We've gone through a lot of the pre-development phase, and we're very excited. This is when you put affordable housing and the type of structure that is usually not available. 12-story structure with obviously downtown views that are pretty much unparalleled. One of the biggest changes I think that will be made is we're actually going to remove half of the garage, and we're actually going to replace that with medium apartments to give the front of it more of a private courtyard kind of feel. You can kind of see that with them sort of also thing. The project was clearly overparked, and
Zach, excuse me, sorry to interrupt. Do you mind bringing the site plan to the center? Because so that everyone can see. The seconds are important, but the site plan is more so. Thank you for spotting. Thank you. So that all of us can see what you're pointing.
absolutely. So I think that's one of the more important elements here. We are really changing the circulation. Right now, the circulation comes from Slocum, and cars can have to drive through the garage and just kind of have a continuous loop. We're changing that. We're making this kind of a more private, more pedestrian friendly, more tenant friendly area between the green space. So this building 2 is going to be new construction of apartments around 22. And then between the tower and the one I structure, we're at 130. The parking garage will remain in that kind of condition with the new bracket system to the parking for the second. Obviously, you guys saw the commercial use in previous rendition of this. You're obviously gonna have to take a lot of that commercial use away and bring it to units. There was about 5,000 square feet of commercial kitchen on the back side with a lot of penetration, because of penetration to the commercial kitchen. We're changing those to, a mixture of 2-story units that are gonna be just the ballroom, and then 1-story units that are across the back of the commercial kitchen area. The structure does seem like a very large structure, but when you purchase it for, apartments, it's shocking how few apartments can actually accommodate these stores. We do have some space reserved for, future commercial space. It's not really used yet, however, this former gallery area and then this, large commercial area will still have entrance in the front and be used for the commercial space. We're thinking probably going to purchase one office.
No, it's access to those spaces from the ground level, right?
That entrance doesn't exist.
Okay.
That is the entrance of it. In terms of Slocum, it is, I would say, a very difficult street to kind of navigate, but the way we look at it, all about it and all of this is going to SHPO, going through historic recreation review and all of those things at the same time. We are proposing, obviously, having a lot more penetrations along the backside of Slocum. So you can see these ribbon windows that are emulating ventilation of the garage, kind of taking that same pattern. So that the lanai structure can be on the side, and then these penetrations are the penetrations that we're proposing right now. We should go to kind of reactivate this area with some balconies, some, some private patios for residents. So that's, we obviously know that's a really important fact. Is reactivating that Slocum side, making that place of investment that they're going to want to walk by in response to what's going to happen hopefully across the street. A lot of redevelopment going on the other side. And then the other proposal have public space on this top floor under the roof. For cost saving measures, we're instead proposing 2-story units to go through the roof of that. And that's something that we also have to go on, have to do on the connection down. Any questions? Board? All right.
All right, questions from Ben?
Can you talk a little bit about any sustainability strategies that you've been considering?
We're not quite there yet in terms of sustainability. In terms of HVAC, we're obviously new infrastructure, looking like a lot more piece of so that is obviously we want to go with but we're not going to be the timing of tip and LIHTC is very hard to line up and get through as much as you want to have.
Where is the amenity space other than the pool? Like, is there any fitness center? Is
Oh,
there any
absolutely.
leasing area?
Yes. So on the ground floor, there's a library, there's co-working space above that. So we have amenity spaces on the ground floor, on the mezzanine level as well, and then on the basement, there are the fitness center.
Fitness center.
Extra bathrooms for locker room. But yes, because of TDHC, we have to have a pretty robust amenities. So we'll have a community theater room, co-working space, conference room for use by events, library, and fitness center.
And what's like the unit breakdown? Is it like how many ones?
So, the Texas Department has a few areas actually passed the rule that you could have no more than 30% combined ones and studios. So we're about there on ones and studios, and then we've got two. So it's about 50% twos, 30% ones and studios.
And then this green color indicating green roofs, or it's just?
That is some of the hope, but we're not quite there yet.
Okay.
And also to look up the north, and see some of the elevations, not.
I think we're.
No, they're just.
Bigger trees.
Yeah.
Can you briefly point out what's existing and what you're adding?
All of this is existing. This
That's all
building
you're
is the
adding.
only thing we're adding.
And you're referencing the SHPO means that you're pursuing historic tax credits also?
Yeah.
How are they responding to your lobby changes? Is that one, say you're working with them, maybe you don't have your part A, part B approved yet, you just, all right.
The lobby. The condition of the lobby is up to shelf. As long as we keep that open, the door is, you know,
Okay.
it's in pretty rough shape. It's pretty much. That's not kind of what's, I guess, inventive. The thing that they're really talking to us about is these traditional penetrations.
Yeah, but they do that because they're on a street front. That's gonna be the heartburn to try to rationale for doing it. Carefully, ultimately prevail.
Right. And so we did actually propose a very different plan, which was to actually pull back the entire building, leave that original facade of it, and then the army behind it, and pull the building back, and we could, they don't have it to additional penetration.
Yeah,
So that's
like
what
you
we got.
lose the torque battery. Okay.
So it's like the backside that you are referring to, that.
Yeah,
That's
a lower.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Very
Yeah.
commercial, loading docks.
it's the source stuff, I understand why they're pushing back. It's authentic, and authenticity is what this sort of preservation is about. But things are, when you get off the primary facade, you get a lot more leeway. The problem is whether or not you interpret that as a primary facade, which it's a two-edged sword because we're making that a primary facade.
Yeah.
We want it to be a primary facade because of slocum, and yet the building turns back there. So, yeah, I can see where that will be a spirited discussion.
I mean, they did actually say in preliminary conversation,
Yeah.
approved.
Right.
You know, but, so you can see this is kind of that within the condition.
Right.
That we're showing in the garage, so we're gonna just try to carry that out. And it just makes the back end, because of those units a lot more usable.
Absolutely.
Right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of set up in the tech. You don't really want something long.
very good. Any other questions? Good. All right, Michael.
One quick-
Yeah, no, sorry.
How tall are those ribbon windows? They seem very small.
Here's one. I think we're about 2.5.
Yes, Michael. Question.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I understand that this is pretty early on in the design development stage, so I'll just reserve my comments for the next portion.
Sounds good. Other, very quickly, you going for both tax credit programs or just the state? All right, feedback. Oh, yeah, no, these are, somebody else needs to start.
The last time the project came, and this time as well, I saw that sidewalk that is along the frontage road is next to the curb. I think we had made some comment that, look, is it possible to consider pushing it away from the curb so that it is more safer? I still see in this rendering is the same way, so my suggestion would be to please consider that. That it gets pushed back. And the only other comment I made was on the other side of the slocum, some of that parallel parking, when you see the black and white car, it has 90-degree angles on it, which is obviously, needs to be looked at. I'm sure you'll say, well, you know that you can probably put a 45 on. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to actually seeing something going on.
Right, something might have to happen.
Yeah, I imagine, it is very interesting to me. I have never imagined a commercial picnic board can be converted into goods. I mean, all those column spacing and stuff and seating lights and stuff, the good job. They're very know how to do it.
Until it's built, we haven't figured it out. But when it comes to obviously making reliable, we really do need to be perfect. We have so much on the area, we can only do something. And we're so few units. But I talked to other developers. How do you want to be not really close. That tower is very, very thin. So it does not accommodate your converting those spaces.
And it's affordable now, too.
Yes, so this would be 3%.
All right. Any other feedback? No.
Sure, always. Well, I am, and actually, and I'm really obnoxious. But me, that aside, no, I really appreciate what you're doing, man. Let's look at the rendering. Yeah, we're gonna hold you to that rendering. For starting, all right? That's what it's gotta look like.
Yeah.
It's gotta look like that when we're done. That's pretty doggone cool. I mean, we actually worked hard on this one the last time it was here, but it seems like all that stuff, like the arrival event and everything, but I don't, I'm pretty sure that what you've got is what you had, and that, that's the way you do historic buildings. I personally am disappointed at the loss of some of the public areas in a period hotel like this. You tell me we're putting apartments in the ballroom. No, darn it.
Can you bring the
but-
camera forward?
But I understand.
Right now, right, yeah, no, yeah, thank you, yes.
I understand why. That's why I was hoping they were beating on me about that, but they're not. I understand why. So,
Well, I agree with Paul and Michael said we very much go on before they play.
well, and those, we can deal with that kind of thing. We're not moving toward having ballroom, we're moving away. And because of, again, the whole context of the time and what happened in the ballrooms and what's happened, those are one of those key elements that you want to hang on to or bring back if you can. But I'm not being critical here because I understand the rationale. I have seen many historic buildings with large public spaces that were important to get turned into other things. I don't know that, but I've seen it a lot of times. So I actually, I appreciate what you're doing. The character defining element of a really important historic building, which most people don't recognize. That's what that is. But it is definitely what we have here. Those character defining elements remain at several different levels. The historic integrity of the building remains, and it's also scratching a pretty big itch we have in Dallas right now with the affordable housing component. If I congratulate you, let's get it done this time, as long as it looks like that.
Sure. We hard did not make it.
Okay, good. No, you'd be surprised how easy it could be. But we're gonna pin it up on the wall and keep looking at it.
One comment that I had is, pedestrian consideration on the sloping side. I know we have the sidewalk and do with, and maybe the rendering isn't showing that, as well, but I guess I think it would be nice to have some more consideration on how that sidewalk connects to the neighborhood. I know that some of the restaurants and other amenities in the design district are a little bit far off, but I can imagine people being able to walk there. So, for example, at this corner on the top right, I don't see the sidewalk kind of crossing over. Yeah. If you're connecting from that side, is there an access, I guess, on that side?
So, an access public, there's an access on the side right here. That'll be the corridor, comes to right here. That's, the main access from that side. And then obviously the road here. Fire, so it's tough to connect over here because that's they don't. So, that's kind of why it's more about pushing across the street versus going by the, it's an interestingly complex in terms of substation being back up the overpass. So it's hard to direct people to where it
But maybe consider this walkway coming up of that corridor, being a little more advanced and maybe wider or have some more presence.
Like, I think it's not not feedback to this question. You pointed to the loading dock. Right there. So how do you, let's remember, can you trace with your finger? What is it? They back in? So do they back in against traffic? How is that or?
Well, it's that's outside.
Very hard.
That part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
We don't do too much loading and unloading for the parking.
Well, you have the moving, right? The moving van will utilize that once.
Most people still aren't even using like a full.
Yeah.
They're gonna, use it when it's using.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna,
But where the collection, that same dock?
Yes.
I think that I can, what happens is, like, I know that the skin that you see, it has some broken pieces. Out of that gap is there, I mean, there are windows, I mean, changing the window, is still making the story.
so the windows, don't make this different. So we're gonna remove them. Those, that area in between the Risola and the building is gonna be their path. And that was actually approved. Last week. So we're gonna stick with that kind of, so
How about the Bristol Lake stuff?
we're gonna obviously repair it. There is some small, so we actually have to take down the facade, chip it back, find all the collision. Oh yeah, this isn't cheap.
What, is it concrete,
Yes.
cast concrete pieces?
Yeah.
That are tied together with ferrous, stuff, okay.
And it's, this and a bunch of it on the backside, I could put that asphalt in. There, pour it down. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's gonna be a mess. Yes. Correct. That space. Right here. Yeah,
That's
so
gonna be really cool.
it is gonna be really good. Every time you walk through, like, you can see it happening,
Yeah.
but it's gonna take a long time to get there. But yeah, so this, the feel of it when you're in the patios is pretty, especially the highlight was, it's pretty awesome. Right, so that was, if you just do 3 days for 2 bedrooms, the units would be huge, and it's not exactly the same days on each structure, so those 2-story units allow us to have a little bit smaller of a 2 bedroom, and make it relative. They actually interlock like 2 Ls, so, yeah, they kind of mitigate that, but I will say, we are gonna probably go back to TDHC and talk about possibly moving some of those, depending on how the structural report come back.
So, you're going to eliminate one?
There is the possibility that we do have some of these 2-story units, we might try to eliminate a few of them based on, the structural engineer coming back and telling us what it's gonna take to penetrate.
Okay.
This is obviously the concept, and that's trying to comply with TDHC as well. You know, there's just been a lot of affordable developers that have gone to very late ends to avoid doing 2 and 3 bedroom units, so the state is obviously putting policy to try and make that more accommodating. We're trying to do it in the spirit of that, but obviously with new construction, it's very easy to probably be in the next couple of this, it's been
I usually believe that this is what I have to do about. Show, I'm trying to understand the, oh, we don't.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm trying to understand the external space at the front with the paving, the drop-off area.
This whole area.
Yeah, so this is primarily for people who are visitors, because people who live here will want parking on that.
So this has units.
Yeah.
There's actually about 58. Well, and looking for, so those people that are those right there. But yeah, this is for visitors, or for people from here, and then you can see there's the other. So you can't come in off that street, people are parking option, but it is, I mean, this is a somewhat compromise, I would bring it back, that's law. Yeah, the term here is visitors and then people.
So then when I look on the ground floor plan, I feel this huge parking area, and then there's a big vestibule on the ground, and then all this kind of stuffy lobby. And then I'm not quite sure where they go, because I was trying to think, okay, well, maybe they're heading up to meet their friends who live here at the pool area, but actually the pool that.
So yes, yeah, so this is the main entrance, and then you can actually go through this, and you can go over here, to get to this area.
Through the commercial.
Yeah, there's a port. So this connection, and then obviously this would work from the park, but also get you back.
And you're going to visit people on the back of the building, that's on the right, and then into that corridor.
You could, or, or at the end level, if the next to wherever it's not.
So I think this may be, I'm really talking about the outdoor space, but it's kind of related to the interior space because of the these very small scale, like the corridors are pretty narrow and the staircase are pretty narrow, and that I think just as it is. So if I then find a little bit of a mismatch to the external grandeur, but it still looks like it's something that people on the wall. I wondered if we might think about the lobby space, but also particularly that external space as feeling more like an apartment building than a hotel. And I don't know, obviously, this is all to do with historic outfit and so on, but for example, that lobby space of an apartment building, you might actually want to be sitting in there and making friends rather than just walk.
Right, so this is this is a very large space.
Yeah.
So we do have to kind of figure out how we're going to program this a little bit better, but it does, it is very. We are going to try.
So I was trying to think about, for example, external space being used to be different out of apartment building. Your dogs and your kids, and you're wanting to be books in the daytime and so on. So I wondered if there are ways to get of that driving and make more landscape.
Yeah, we definitely do that. We are actually doing this area that we're not looking at the top that one.
And I like the idea of taking vacating with the landscape.
Yeah, careful.
Water.
That's it, because of the smaller, there is a lot of saying, be careful, be careful. There is no more entrance to the garage because we're putting a new building, right? So now, we kind of piggyback on what you're saying. I don't know how Chippewa works, but we really don't have a whole lot of use for that, but for the turnaround, right?
Yeah.
Because all the visitors who are coming, all their guests, they know either to go to the first garage or make a left to the left garage. All of that would be repurposed. If they get through our Chippewa. Yeah.
Right? Permit paving.
What we want to do with build, you have a funding, then you go back. CIP projects.
So Norman, you have talked about this. It's really interesting. What's going on?
All right, if we get character defining features. It's a term that we use a great deal in for what makes this building typical and important of its time. What are you trying to remember? Are you trying to immortalize, if you will? What's authentic? Well, don't get me on my little presentation about authenticity. Authenticity is what preservation is all about. A recreation of a building that was lost is not a historic building, even if it looks exactly the same. Or I use the example, you get a baseball signed by, you get a baseball signed by Mickey Mantle, and you can buy one in the store that has his name on it. Nobody thinks those are the same thing. He actually signed this one was when you bought it. Nobody, they may look exactly alike. No one thinks they're the same. Authenticity is critical. And something like this in a mid-century, in a remarkable mid-century modern hotel like this, what you're looking to do is retain those items that even if you get them, and you're getting paid to keep them. Let's go ahead and put it that way. You're getting paid to keep them. You keep those items so that the spirit, the character, the interpretation of the space during period of historic significance is still there. This hotel, the arrival experience is going to be important. The interior lobby thing, I didn't quite get how the lobby was working until y'all discussed it. That makes me feel a lot better about the ballroom, frankly, because that whole arrival experience is important. Because of Regis Soleil, all of that up there, that whole thing is critical. The fact that they're not coming in and they could probably make a big difference, extending some things up and make a difference in the whole experience, the look of the building, the form of the building. They're not doing any of those. The key elements of what makes this readily recognizable and appreciable as just the way this sort of rat pack mid-century hotel thing operated. Those are all still there, and those are important elements. So I understand that is not a particularly pedestrian-friendly thing out there. It was not intended. You were supposed to drive up in your wing Cadillac.
When they
Supposed to drive up with your Cadillac with wings and go rolling out of that thing, and that's an important part. You could, I guess, you want to drag some tables and umbrellas out there, you could do some of that.
It's a really good, compounded admitted with any change and we.
And handle in what way? Again, you're diminishing the authenticity if you do what you're
Well,
talking
you
about.
did that
And one of the-
when they put the pyramid in the middle, they changed the whole way.
That's right.
About
That's right. It's not the loop. That had there were other motivations. But this is Dallas, Texas, and I have to fight every day for these kinds of conversations.
On the height of the window, are those also, and it's.
They are, but they're not insurmountable. There we have the problem that we talked about earlier. What's the back and what's not? Those windows, if that's how they were originally done, then it would be preferable for it to be utilized. It's not frozen in stone, or that's a metaphor, whatever it is. That's too many. It's not written in stone. Those windows on the back are not what we would qualify as a character defining feature. Those would go away. No one's gonna look at that and think, "Oh, why did they screwed up that really cool mid-century hotel?" If you were to take the Breeze off, they would say that. Some of us would say that if you start messing with the entry to that, that's what you're doing. But we don't care about the entrance to the parking garage, even if it's original.
The garage,
That just, yeah, okay, which, or even some of the other, these are exactly the discussions we're having about the fleet of Hummers right now. It's trading those things off, so like I say, there can be a lot of flexibility, but you have to pick your battle. Some places, it's a tough battle. You gotta make sure you really want to die in that hill, that entrance, that interior, the form of that tall building are things that kind of third rail is. I wouldn't go there.
All right, Arturo, we are close.
We don't ride on that.
Oh, so that would have been really hard to do.
Okay, so Arturo, just before we close, that I have no comments of my, I applaud the introduction of building two. You are removing half of the garage. That was, by the way, when this project came up to review in 2018. I remember we had debates about the garage facing the port, facing the arrival port, not for the arrival port. What do we do with the garage? Well, there, that's the answer. So great, remove the issue, replace it with something better, and hopefully your rendering is conveniently dark. Right, and we know that, we know that you know, so please be kind and.
You definitely want it to be something that's extremely responsive.
Okay.
This is a.
Yeah.
You know, I probably should have thought a little bit about this. The only other place that was not, I realized I had. And that's wrong. So we're the only ones left with it. We intend to respect it and, you know, kind of a little bit easy thing. Here. So we're excited to add on rendition to this.
Very good. So with that, oh, yes, Michael. But before you speak, Michael, just a moment. So the other thing is you pointed that, well, over there.
Yeah.
That's the way from Slocum. If you happen to walk on Slocum, you found this way. If you park on the garage, how do you get to the unit? Is that the same?
Yes.
Yeah. This?
And there actually, there is also, you can find it the side. And I believe we can cover it.
Yeah.
Sorry, there are.
There would be,
Right, so there's an open for.
this would be preferable, right?
Right, yeah, so that is still.
Yeah. Oh. Other than that, no comments, no feedback from me, my colleagues. Yes, and Michael. Michael, please.
Yes, thank you. I'll be brief. This is more of a suggestion to the design team. With this being early on in the design development process, I would encourage the team to take a look at the sites criteria from Sustainable Sites Initiative. This is something that is eventually going to be rolled into the LEED criteria, so it would apply to LEED for new buildings and core and shell, et cetera. But its intent is to help guide design development of functional landscapes connected to the site. So I would like to encourage the team to take a look at that and consider some of that guidance, because I think in a redevelopment scenario like this, there are lots of opportunities that can be uncovered simply by just going through the checklist and brainstorming some opportunities. So that's my only comment. Thank you for your presentation.
Right.
All right, great.
Summarize.
Thank you. Number one, the panel recommends the sidewalk be pushed off the curb for safety reasons. Number two, yeah.
How about the width of the sidewalk?
Width of the sidewalk is 6 feet per foot, but definitely push back along the front.
Okay, the panel recommends the width of the sidewalk and its location be reconsidered for safety reasons. Number two, the panel advises parking space layouts be reviewed for efficiency and ease of use. And I hope I got your intent there, because
But that is very simple.
Okay, on the backside.
Along sloping slope.
Great. Okay, number 3. The panel advises improvements to the sidewalk be made. No, the panel advises improvements to to the sidewalk condition on Slocum to encourage access to amenities in the district. Number 4, the panel recommends exterior amenity space and entry areas be designed to better serve the needs of residents by removing some parking where possible in vehicle circulation areas, in addition to replacing pavement with other permeable paving if possible.
The panel doesn't, panel members.
Okay. Yes.
You can put other panel members, think you need to leave that alone, yeah.
Very good. I will word that accordingly. Thank you, Norm.
Realize that's unusual.
Yes. Next one, number 5, the panel advises new residential addition. The panel advises the design of the new residential addition be respectful of the original Cabana Hotel design. And lastly, the panel advises the design team to reference the site's criteria to guide the landscape design component of the site. All right. And Zach,
Is this garage, how many stories, how many levels? Where is the ramp thing to get up? It's just single load, it looks like, 60 feet, so I was just wondering where are the ramps to get up? Oh, in every level, that's where the ramps are.
Yeah, basically, it's a small one right now.
Oh, okay.
And so we're just taking it.
The ramp, okay,
Yeah.
very efficient.
Yeah. I mean, just staring at that garage, putting in.
Yeah,
that
but I was just wondering where it
It's
is.
it's a steel garage, it's pretty rough.
All right, good. Before we wrap up, I just consulted with my fellow panelists here in the interest of reconciliation between panel members.
oh, yeah.
But you can see this. Maybe, these folks living in this building, they might enjoy a little garden over here. So that green would tie around, and we really don't need 3 or 4 parking spaces. It's not going to make it. So we maintain the spirit of the building, the original spirit, but we also, along with a new building here, a new garden,
No, that's a very good.
soften up things a bit.
You know, I was wondering, where do they, like, if a piece of this facade breaks, where do you go to get it?
We're gonna have to create a new mold.
They get a new mold to do.
You got all the time.
Yeah, it's not, it's very standard. We're gonna be fine. I think that's what's gonna happen.
It's almost better if that way it makes sense to actually go through the process and make it. You can buy.
Yeah, but it does have a lot of, I mean, I know there are.
There's no another strange thing on the landscape. That little zigzaggy entrance path, I mean, I know this is pretty early days. It doesn't come straight. So,
Here,
Oh, yeah.
that's good. That's good. Why not?
There
Here,
is
Jim?
kind of a distinction there. Designing our there.
You have landscape, you don't need a wall.
Yeah, well, so I think it's more of a kind of, this is obviously
Yeah.
a story, so
Yeah.
you're walking, yeah. That can definitely be.
Well, Zach, you told us at the beginning that your previous project had been enhanced by comments from the panel when you presented it 2 years ago. We hope that this is the case. It is happening again. So we support the effort, and we look forward to visiting the building when it's done in what, year and a half? 6 months.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
And I've added that additional comment,
Yes.
which was the panel advising consideration be given to the location and design of the pedestrian path from the I-30 frontage road.
Along with the landscaping,
Yes, and I did add that. Thank you, Zach.
very good.
Is that project?
You guys can do it. Who's story builder? Cost a lot.
But we're like that.
It's a lot better.
It's a lot better.
It's a lot better, no question about it. Yeah, we're almost done.
Okay. Good luck. We're dying to have that building.
You all should come to the step review.
Your review will be the redevelopment of an existing 143,000 square foot building in the newly designated Koreatown district in Northwest Dallas to house an H Mart market or supermarket with a complementary program that includes retail space, a food court, and office space. Primary considerations for this project include the design of the street-facing retail, pedestrian access through the parking lot, streetscape improvements on Royal Lane, opportunities to add landscaping, and employment of sustainability strategies. I'd like to now turn it over to Francisco, who will introduce the project and walk you through its design.
Sometimes not going on. But I'm sure we have received a good that have to be 50 a lot of you know. Basically, it is a almost the building was built in 1905. So it's about 50 building. You know, food inside and even in the room. This neighborhood it's to a point where it came a time where you see other people that belongs to the whole thing and just stuff like that. Because that's how much they were almost at a point, you know, as I said, it's not sudden we built. That's how much we but it is basically what it is just kept the same footprint, nothing more, nothing more. And you move all the exterior, not all the exterior, but a lot of the exterior. And there's a two-story portion which faces the main Royal Lane. And still kept that envelope going, just recut the whole thing. Okay? Yeah, I see. Okay. I'm fine, okay. We have 120,000 square foot on the ground floor, another 20,000 square foot of office on the second floor. And the ceiling is primarily stone on the base, wainscot, and on the background. And there's one exterior wall along the beach where they're going to be painted existing brick. And there's also a portion of the different about 4,000 square foot of cover on the backside for the loading and unloading area. So that's exactly how it looks right now. Although it is kind of stretched limit of it, and it's being used as a indoor bazaar. And they will all be cut out, completely cut out, including second floor as well. And all that what you see will be cut out too. So you'll see only the structure remaining. So yeah, it's a major remodeling. And you're using the parking lot with FPG over there, retail, and this was the early version. That is the early version of it. was, well, actually, it wasn't 100%, but that's pretty much where we have right now. So I thought we were a little bit, yeah, and I was looking after that, but I guess that's very. Yeah, just facing the road lane. It's almost stuck. And some colors, and to give a little of international, modern, like, simple look, nothing more than that. So you have a, you will feel very, what word for it? It has a presence in that section, in that part of the neighborhood. So you'll make some nice impact, onto the business surrounding that area as well as anybody who wants to take a station. Ground floor is usually, not the ground floor level is, mostly retail and restaurants. And second floor will be office. So, okay, I just up there and have any questions? I
have a question. Really briefly, so, predictable question. We are interested in urban design. So
Yes, sir.
tell me about your parking. How does your parking relate to your requirements, city requirements? Do you have the right amount? Do you have extra?
Yes, that's a very good question. That's the very first thing we're looking into. And since we're not changing any use of the existing use, and they're the same use, grocery and retail and whatever, that will be. And according to the, guideline, the parking requirement can be grandfathered, another grandfather.
Do you have less parking than would be required if you built
Just
it new?
slightly less.
Okay,
We are probably 1%.
okay. Okay,
One,
very good.
1%.
Okay.
That's a very good question. That was the very first thing you hit.
Well, we're gonna talk about that.
All right. Any other questions from the friend?
Yes, ma'am. That's a very good question too. Yes, 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 that is considered quasi Korean town with a lot of Korean business there. And everybody trying to do their own redevelopment, small, mostly small in character. So then H like that is like identical 120,000. Oh, it's 120,000 square foot. So almost a 3-acre development. And so I believe that's going to have a big impact. As I said, because a very small retail, restaurant, offices throughout the area. So I think it's going to have a very nice impact in as to say, hey, look at this. It's not just a small development. We're talking about almost 5-acre development. So,
There were these restaurants on the side.
Yes, yes. Yes, this is the restaurant, right, on the corner, and it's another street here, and with restaurants and all.
One more. Maybe keep going. That one.
The one on the very, I don't have a pointer, but, those two,
The yellow dots.
that two yellow dots next to the. That's a strip center, comprising of, all kinds of stores, there's a coffee shop, there's some small restaurants and some offices. And, that's not part of, each one. But there will be some synergies going on between that development and this development. Okay.
And one more question, the green space we can see over there, is that actually a park or is it?
Oh, wow. That's sitting up. There's also, it's not property. And you can see the ongoing program. So, I think the one that- And they don't about it,
So Francisco, I'm sorry, why you're close to the screen? Where is our property?
The black
I'm
one.
sorry, a basic question, I'm sorry. The black.
And the parking around it.
Okay,
that's
Black
what-
one.
Man,
right there, okay.
The black one, it's a black car, it's a good car, it's a whole,
Okay,
that's the building, there's a big parking lot, it's the undeveloped, which is not really in.
understood. Thank you for clarifying. Right.
I wanted to ask a couple of, so the building structure footprint is the same. You're changing the
We
scale.
are looking the structure, the old structure as they are. Mostly,
It's great, but its overall footprint is the same. You're adding some, we're putting a not, it's just the same.
Same structure.
How about the paving all the way around? I heard you said you are repaving. Are you repaving the whole parking lot?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to confirm it is not.
And it's really, but, right now, you drive on, the other one, it's
Terrible.
just, your parking lot. And you do everything, and you're free parking lot, and density. And that's, they're fine.
So Francisco, please define landscape aisles, what we mean, there, because the plan doesn't show.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, I've had them. Sidewalk wise, I believe we do the gravel. And I just have to refer to my engineering here. Do we have landscape? Okay, is it by the city, or is it by the, I think that's pretty fun. Please, no. Yeah, so far, let me see that, we are allowing.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
for future, not to provision.
I have a
Yes.
question for Arturo. What does, Koreatown designation actually mean? Does it come with any, I assume, I mean, is that just a recognition? Are there any are there any financing options? Are there any designs? I'm sure there's no design standard. Is there anything to it other than that?
Kevin will help answer that question.
Yes. What if you just
Come on around,
Yeah,
join us.
right.
Okay, so there's actually two things going on. One is an informal designation by the city from about Luna to the DART station, about 1.5 mile corridor, Royal Lane. All that really did was the city put street signs in Korean, as I believe. But what's going on at the state is a bill has been passed by both chambers in the state legislature, sitting on the governor's desk right now, that would officially designate this area as Koreatown. And that would enable the area to market itself on state right-of-way. So signs out on 35 or on 635. It does open up a number of things economically if the governor does sign that bill.
Is there some centralized organization, planning effort, business association that's driving all of that and making future plans for this area once these things are in place?
Yes, without going into too much detail, but this area used to be referred to informally as the Asian Trade District. It already has some entryway signage out there. There are the Chamber of Commerce that represents various Asian cultural groups, does represent the area. So they are driving the bus on that sort of effort.
Is there a common vision? Yeah.
I don't-
That's kind of,
I don't think so.
okay, that's, okay. Good to know.
But I mean, from the Office of Economic Development perspective, we've been engaged with these folks for 7 years to try and get something going as a catalytic effort. And, just 400 feet away is the DART station, which also the city's done recent RFPs to solicit development proposals. Roll Lane Station is the only one in North Dallas that will have proposals considered for it. So there are a number of things that are in play, and we hope that they will start to coalesce.
We about to rename it the Koreatown Dark Station?
I have heard that as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I think that'd be cool.
I had it in Austin. Wherever you go, like San Antonio, Houston, anywhere in Austin, there's a lot of green community, and they always are very proud of Gloria Lane. It's the great place to go.
Right.
So it's, so in some ways, yeah, this could be a nice place for that growth to continue.
I'm very familiar with the commitment to Asian business in this neighborhood. I didn't know how much culturally there was behind on that. That's my other thing. And if that meant there were, what do we want to have? And I think it's a little more ad hoc. We're not ready. Okay, that's all I want. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question, which is the context description that's written on the maps. Is it a description?
Yes.
So it's
Well-
primary consideration.
Yes. Actually, there are a lot of things besides just a few outlets here, retail shop. Yeah, I think there are also a few Korean, American banks set up on the road as well. That's right. And so there's a lot of things that are seen. And once that is built, the largest development is time.
Any other questions, Faisal?
Yeah.
Maria, yes.
You mentioned restaurant, you mentioned retail office and restaurant. What are the restaurants just built in more?
Very good question. This is one.
Yeah.
And all the companies in Woodhead, companies in Buckley, all restaurant potential.
Okay. So grocery store, a grocery store and restaurants. And they, okay. Okay. All right, thanks. Yeah.
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 So I was gonna ask them, they are in permit, is it approved? And what's your timeline on construction? Because some of the feedback we give you, I wanna make sure it is.
Right now, almost ready.
Almost ready.
Ready? So do you have construction documents?
Issues with the 100 on the drainage.
Drainage? Be ready to talk about drainage. Okay. I have a question for the panel. Has everyone been to an H Mart?
I know this area.
I know that, yeah, but
I've been to the bakery next door, 9 Rabbit Bakery, and that's a good one, I can tell you that.
Okay.
So, but I don't remember this building. This building is not memorable. I remember the bakery.
the building as it is now, is it memorable?
It has-
It's burned into my memory,
Yes.
I guarantee.
I can't remember.
You can't just- See it.
Okay. So,
I do have a
But you
question,
have-
if I may.
Yes, Michael.
Again, it was a little hard to hear some of the commentary, but I just wanted to confirm, I think I understand that the building footprint remains the same. My question is the impervious coverage outside of the building remaining the same, or is that being increased?
No, everything is as you want. Except the
Okay.
curb cut to the street. You have to, comply with the right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I think we can open it up to feedback and comments, right?
Looking at me?
We
Okay,
are- we are-
fine. All right, that's fine. I'm the chatty one. That's okay. I'm used to it. For Mr. Choi, thank you for this. First of all, I'll say I've been to H Mart many times and I'm always excited to have another one that may be a little closer than having to go to Frisco. It's a remarkable place. There's just all kinds of things there. I have no idea what they are. But it's a lot of fun to go there. A lot of good things available. And I think I'm gonna compliment the building because I have, you probably were not here. I was relatively critical of a large building earlier today's session. I think yours is just remarkably lovely by comparison. Actually, there's a lot, given what it is and how the improvements we're making. I don't see anything about it that says Koreatown to me, but that's okay. I think it's still a big step. I know that part of town. It's a big step up for that part of town. It's a really great precedent, and because it's not a mixed use kind of area like we want to see for a cultural center like that. You think of a Koreatown or a Chinatown or a Greek town or something, and there's more going on. We're not there yet, but I think that means we're on the way. I think this is the building itself. The improvements to that building are, I nothing but praise for those. That was the soft stuff. The other part of it, though, is that what we do here is urban design. And the parking lot you got there we spend a lot of time railing against. I'm not going to get into some of the issues like with permeable pavement and stormwater treatment. I've got friends on the panel who know that much better than I. But we're looking for, we always encourage our applicants to do everything they can to soften the landscape, to make it more pedestrian friendly. That many cars, it's going to be a lot of people. H Mart draws a lot of people, and what you have is a 1960s building with a 1960s site. That's how we did retail back in the 60s. To some degree, it still is, but we've been trying to snuff that out in the city of Dallas for a long time. There's a better way to experience the neighborhood. There's better ways to experience a visit to your complex here. And I think that recognizing you have some limitations still, I won't go into detail. There's too many. Way too much paving, way too much normal paving. And coming to this board with something, you kind of think, and you put some trees in on your drawing, all those places. We didn't see those trees, not just hear about them. I don't know there's just a lot of techniques that are common now to large retail areas that we would encourage you looking into from the swales. Like I say, that's my comment. I'm gonna get started. The building's great. We've got a lot to talk about in the site, and that's going to be more, I think, my friends' comments.
I think from the very house that from the presented looks like very massive. Now, one thing like that I didn't do is not that perspective. Maybe we should go to the oversight plan and
Okay.
And very detailed. Can you go to the site plan? Oversight plan.
Here's the aerial photo.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Oh, that. Okay.
When you saw that the massive parking lot. Actually, when you really explain, there are items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you have people. And each item provides So if the force of two, like, and that's, so it's not just when you see that, that's the thing that they'll quite, if you think the real heads of parking, second, parking.
Good try, but yes, it is.
Yes.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes,
There
it
is
is.
no forest of light poles. I'm sorry. That was creative. But no, that's not what you got here. We want to work with you, Mr. Joe. We really do. But trees, permeable paving, other features that can be added into here that, that for instance, that area, I believe the way we do it now, that I was looking closely to see what these stripes were between the islands. I thought maybe there was some kind of a green strip or a swale there. No, that's curb stops. So there's no wheelies right there, but there's no planting and no water treatment either. We just would really encourage you to do a lot more of that. A lot different kinds of paving. Do something to make it interesting. Break up the heat island. Give us some details about how you're gonna take care of the ground, the water runoff, because it's gonna be an enormous thing here. Again, I'm talking to you. Those folks down there know a lot more about that than I do, and they're gonna wanna have it.
All right, so with that, those folks over there.
Should we start with Michael?
Yeah, Michael. Those folks way over there. Michael, do you have comments?
Yeah, I'll just continue with Norm's thoughts there. This is in an area that's been identified by Texas Trees Foundation, the Smart Growth Dallas, Trust for Public Land, Nature Conservancy as one of the most heavily impacted by heat island impacts within the city, just due to the enormous amount of paved coverage. Lots of initiatives are in the works trying to figure out ways to mitigate both those heat island impacts. And also specifically related to the Nature Conservancy and Texas A&M AgriLife's recent study that talks about nuisance flooding in Northwest Dallas, trying to find ways to incorporate what you're talking about, Norm, potentially instead of just curb stops with grass, looking at opportunities to convert those to bioswales or bioretention areas that at least mitigate a little bit of the nuisance flooding in the area, but also obviously incorporating shade, street trees to the extent possible. This would be a really good example of how do we retrofit many of these areas that are hopefully setting up to redevelopment, much like this one. Beyond that, at the same time, considering bike and pedestrian connectivity, similar to our discussions about the Sprouts Market that we had earlier, I think that applies here as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Any other comments?
Yes, I'm going to jump in. So, could we go back to the image with the whole neighborhood?
The aerial photo?
Yeah, the aerial photo. So I think that the idea that this is the keynote, preliminary, no, even bigger. I want to see the dark station.
Yes, on the
On the front page.
Right.
There we are.
Ah,
So I think that I'm going to take a kind of a big view of this and say, from the point of view of the city, if this is a keynote kind of visionary move for the heart of Koreatown, I think that we could be thinking at an urban scale in a more ambitious way. So I see that I'm going to have to use the opportunity here. The DART station, look. The DART station is over here. And this is the Royal Lane, the line of Royal Lane. And really the Royal Lane goes like that. I wonder if there's an opportunity to think of the heart of Koreatown as being these restaurants, this shop, and whatever is here eventually. And make that be the the pedestrian new outdoor zone. And then if we go back to the next site plan, you go one slide down now. Yeah, which would mean that this space there would be becoming the new heart of it. So I wonder if you could think about that bridge, a new bridge right here, and another entrance maybe here.
It's already connected.
Yeah, so this that way, that line.
It's already connected.
Yeah, right along there.
No, but.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, but I'm actually thinking that this area here
That's
is going to be the
The back of
pedestrian.
the house.
It's a back of
It's private property then, right?
Oh, that belongs to the other people.
Yes,
This,
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, all right, it is a drainage today, but this is a very, very good point. And if you, sorry, Jesse, this is great, because Norman and I were just talking about them. It would be to your benefit and to your client's benefit to explore that idea in order to unlock value for that green, undeveloped land that you have there today. So it would be to your advantage, it would reinforce this notion that Jesse is describing. Yes, currently, it is the back side of the adjacent property, but it doesn't have to be the back side forever. So I know it's not in your power, we understand, it's private property. But that's something that this panel can recommend to the city.
Absolutely.
And in doing so, it would be helpful to you, to the city, and to your neighbor, creating therefore a vibrant, the beginning of vibrant district. I'm sorry, Jeff, I jumped on it because it's such a good idea.
also, Royal Lane is going to be always difficult to feel like a pedestrian place. It's just a very big road. So if we're going to take what we're being looked at by the city, that's why I asked about that first paragraph, which is to think about the pedestrian quality of this environment. Pedestrian quality, hard to justify it really being very pedestrian world, but it could potentially be pedestrian for this new centre where you could imagine that people could eventually come off the dark station down
Absolutely.
there and bring at least a scooter or a bicycle to get to the centre of Koreatown. And this could be imagining it as the new part of Koreatown. Now, obviously, that means thinking of the drainage ditches as eventually later a positive water feature. Are they big enough that they have enough water that they can become large-scale bioswales, where they have native planting and they become a feature rather than a horrible back? The real back is the loading, which is down there. Could that be retained as the back and let this become a new front? Obviously, that's long-term, but I'm just trying to kind of raise the profile and say, let's be ambitious here and connect that. Then you have the potential of some of this being a real green space later, where there could be a new building on a green space, with public restaurants, outdoor space.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah, outdoor trees and gardens that are connected, and the food court is right here, so it's perfect. You come out of the food court, it's large space. I think it has the potential to really alter the quality of it, and it then starts to give a urban structure to the other decisions. For example, if this becomes a primary space here, then that entrance becomes more important. Obviously, there needs to be, I've been drawing it here on my plan, there, but obviously there should be a proper pedestrian paved entrance here. We come to the site plan now. Yeah. Obviously, from this entrance here, that should have a pedestrian-friendly 2,000 trees, avenue going to the street on this side, trees on both sides, drainage into that grassy area,
Absolutely.
permeable paving for pedestrians to come right up to that front entrance, so that that feels like an avenue, providing two lots of parking. And the parking on both sides of the avenue needs to have trees down the center.
Yes,
Lots of
absolutely.
parking and
I'm sure.
permeable paving and all of that. And then there could be a smaller one here, same thing here, like pairs of trees across pedestrian walk to the street edge with a pair of trees there that mark that entrance. And then eventually the long-term view that this would get the third primary entrance to that one. And then you start to get a real kind of urban connectivity, which would set a standard for that whole area.
As a matter of fact, that concept was conceptualized for you. Area. And so that was part of we could have a entry in the south of that on would be like and even accessibility from the back area into the road lane. So the landmark property could have access to that sliver there, you know. So that was stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll put our, whatever way we have, we'll put it behind that idea, because I think.
Very positive point.
We would also give the people on the other lots some, intensity to do, some work to,
Can I, any more?
I'm
No?
done, yeah.
Okay. So my role is civil engineer,
Yes, sir.
give you some feedback, and I'm also a traffic engineer.
Okay.
So great long-term vision. I'm gonna tell you the short-term of it, disappear. The short-term vision projects. Sorry, well, can you put the site plan back?
Briefly, I'm sorry, but I have a 12 o'clock meeting that I'm holding, so I kind of need to be there.
Thank you, I apologize. Thank you. See you next. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Okay, so, and I'll try to be very brief.
Absolutely.
So, simply stating, I don't see any real public sidewalk improvements on the site plan, okay? You are redoing your building, you are redoing your parking lot. The parking lot is being redone to very normal standards, because none of those features that we all like to see. But more important to me is, I don't really see any public sidewalk. either on-
There's public sidewalk. It is my.
Well, I know, I don't see it even on the rendering over here, I'm just.
Yes.
Now, second thing I would like to point out is, please consider, where you're showing your loading dock with a wheelbase 52 truck, the way it is shown, it's not gonna work. You can see somebody has put that auto turn here. So if suppose you intend to keep it at that spot, at a minimum, you need to get rid of these curb islands, because this truck cannot make the turn and back into it. You're showing it backing into it. It just cannot make that turn and get all the way here. You can have your engineer run.
Yeah, we did that.
I can assure you, it cannot make that turn with this. So I do this every day. So I'm just saying, look at it, please.
We
consider
double
it.
checked it, but.
Yes,
We have,
yeah, because it,
it's very tight, but it is doable.
okay, that's fair enough. I
Just imagine just to put that image, then you can see that will be a good effect.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to give you my feedback. Because
Yes.
It's, you're showing it backing into it, into this space.
Yeah.
And as you can see, if it starts to turn, those wheels are gonna run onto that curve and this curve. So you can look at it, decide whatever, but I see that as a problem, getting in and out of this. And I would have liked to see the actual sidewalk
There's a sidewalk.
in the public plans of,
Yeah.
in the public space.
Yeah, that's just architecture site plan early on, but we have an engineer. Behind it. We do have a, continuous sidewalk along the.
Okay, so let's say that you are looking to reevaluate adding trees and stuff. My final comment is, you know that the dart station is less than quarter mile. So knowing that, you can go and apply for a minimum 10% parking reduction. And put that towards either extended green space or bigger spaces in between the drive aisle, so that it can provide some walking
Got it.
connectivity.
That's a good one.
Okay.
But we didn't have considered the docks.
Yeah, you can apply for 10% reduction if it is within a quarter mile, and I haven't looked at where the bus stops are, but you're so close,
Okay,
so.
either for, you get the 10%. So we use that 10% for this from walkway from.
Yeah, you can reduce, it's a lot of, it depends, sometimes owners want to maximize parking, right? So That is a personal choice. All I'm saying is if you want to, you have a valid case to do it. And please take a look at the back over there, because I don't think that loading dock is gonna work with it. You're setting yourself up for a lot of turning wheels in the back.
Thank you. Especially if I'm considering. Right, Francisco, thank you for bringing the project from the panel. You heard very good comments already. We hope that you take those into consideration and discuss with your client. We understand that you have construction documents ready to go, construction is ready to go, but right now, it's still, construction hasn't started. So we really encourage you to consider the feedback that you heard today. Without adding to whatever, everything else what I already said, without repeating everything that was already said, I would add one more thing. These are restaurants who told us, restaurants over here and over here and over there. And we have, in addition to trees and aisles and pedestrian-friendly environment here and here, knowing now that that you can apply for a parking reduction, how about repurposing these spaces over here and creating patios that where these restaurants would open to patios outside. So not only a door facing a very, very narrow walkway, but this would be outdoor seating over here and over there. I bet that your tenants would love it. It will enhance the value of the rent, the net rent for this space. And it would also present a much more friendlier image of this building for those driving, walking on Royal Lane. Right now, it looks like a warehouse. And a warehouse is not friendly. So, trees, patios, sidewalks, this entrance here, that is an enhanced entrance, maybe with a raised table on the street, but providing a nod to pedestrians. Same thing here on this side. And yes, the idea of a potential third entrance over here that would unlock value for that land and create internally a pinwheel circulation that would truly activate the inside, interior of the plant. I think those are all ideas that we strongly encourage you to consider. Yes. So if no other comments, would you be able to summarize and wrap it up for us?
Sure, yes, and for your knowledge, we'll forward these comments formally to you early next week and work with you in terms of how you respond. So without further ado, the first recommendation from the panel encourages the parking lot design be softened and improve the heat island effect to include removal of some paving and addition of landscaping, permeable pavers, pathways, strategies to capture water runoff such as bioswales, addition of shading devices, I'm sorry, I'm going to modify my comment about pathways that are aligned with main entries that lead to each of the two streets. I will massage that comment altogether. Number two is the panel advises exploring the addition of pedestrian access corridor from the DART station that parallels Royal Lane to help unlock the value and profile of the undeveloped portion of the site in the future and create a new building entrance on that side. Number three, the panel recommends sidewalks on Royal Lane and Reeder Road to tie into the development. Number four, the panel advises internal truck movements may impact parking islands and pedestrian walkways, and the loading dock should be adjusted to accommodate if necessary. Number five, the panel advises the development team pursue a 10% parking reduction based on a quarter-mile distance from DART light rail and or the bus stop to open up the potential to replace parking spots next to restaurant spaces with outdoor seating, patio space, landscaping, and pedestrian amenities.
And with that, our session is yours. And we see you.
Right in timing.
Did
Thank
good on
you.
time today. Thank you so much. No, no, that's good.